You want to compete with our saint? You're still far from it. You can't devour them? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He did not expect sky shattering to be unable to devour these things. However, so what? If he could not devour them, then he would completely destroy them. His great dragon sword spirit was not to be trifled with. Boom! Lin Xian waved his long sword, and the aura of the dragon sword gushed out. Suddenly, the 1001 heavy water that was close to him let out a sizzling sound, then turned into water vapor and drifted into the sky. More and more of the 1001 heavy water was destroyed, turning into water vapor that shrouded the surroundings. In the end, the dozens of water dragons were completely destroyed and did not exist anymore. You want to hurt me with a mere 1001 heavy water? What a joke! What other tricks do you have? Show me, or you won't have a chance. Lin Xian held his sword and strode forward. What? He actually destroyed the 1001 heavy water? Moreover, he did it so easily. Heavens, who the hell is this kid? Why is his sword light so sharp? He can actually destroy the 1001 heavy water? Everyone was stunned. The 1001 heavy water could not be destroyed at all. Even the black hole could not devour it. However, Lin Xian destroyed all the water with just a few swings of his sword. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have dared to believe it. Damn it! The Five Elements Saint's face turned ugly. He did not expect Lin Xian to be able to destroy his 1001 heavy water so easily. It was really hard for him to believe. However, he soon became ferocious. His trump card was not just the 1001 heavy water. Blazing Red Lotus. North Pole Earth. The 5 clones formed seals again, and the attributes on their bodies changed into the fire and earth attributes. The power of fire and earth surged out, and between heaven and earth, flames burned, forming countless lotus flowers that danced in the fire. The mountains crushed the rift as they charged toward Qin Nan once again. They completely enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved the dragon sword realm and transformed into a true dragon. The dragon opened its mouth and spat out seawater. The dragon swayed its tail and knocked away the surrounding mountains. Buzz! Thousands of sword chi burst out from the dragon's body and slashed in all directions. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was as if the sun was about to be destroyed. The power of fire and earth were destroyed again. The sky was filled with terrifying sword light. The frenzy of energy terrified everyone. They had completely retreated from the main hall and hid in the surrounding passageways. There was nothing they could do. The energy was too terrifying. Let me show you what the true power of the 5 elements is. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a piercing cold light. He floated in the void like a god fiend. Whoosh! He waved his sword and simulated everything in his body. Around him, the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth appeared. Then, the 5 elements began to evolve under the effect of the great dragon sword soul. Boom! Black flames danced and turned into black suns one after another, filling the sky palace. There were thousands of them densely packed together. Each of them contained terrifying power that would make the eyelids of peerless almighties twitch. Now that thousands of them appeared together, probably nothing could resist. 10,000 suns burning the sky. Lin Xian waved his sword, and thousands of black suns smashed forward like meteors. Boom! 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 The 5 elements saint felt as if he was struck by lightning. His 5 elements world shook, and countless cracks began to appear. The 5 clones also vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, be destroyed for me! The 5 elements saint roared crazily, and attacked with the 1001 heavy water again to resist. But at this moment, Lin Xian's second attack came. The power of metal flashed quickly, and formed many golden swords in the sky. 108,000 golden swords filled with killing aura filled the sky. Chapter 25:17. Metal Slaying, Shaking the Heavens. 108,000 swords descended together with Lin Xian's wave. The 5 elements saint spat out blood and flew backward again. More cracks appeared on his 5 elements world. The 108,000 swords pierced through his 5 elements world, and the 5 elements power inside was quickly destroyed. The 5 clones were also covered in cracks. 2 of the clones exploded with a loud bang. The 5 elements saint was severely injured, and his face was filled with madness. 10,000 wood descends. The five elements saint roared crazily, and the power of wood flashed. Bang! Countless forests appeared around Lin Xian, covering the entire sky. Those trees began to absorb Lin Xian's power, trying to suck him dry. Humph! Let me show you what the true power of wood is. Lin Xian's sword flashed, and he destroyed all the primeval forests. He pointed his sword at the sky. Heavenly tree! Heaven and earth trembled, and the void above cracked open. A green tree fell from the sky. This green tree was too terrifying. It was surrounded by green light, and covered with mysterious patterns. It was like a heavenly tree, and it completely suppressed the five elements saint. Puff! The five elements saint spat out blood, and his five elements world shattered again. The surrounding people were stunned. What is this? How can this kid have such a terrifying superpower? They were stunned, because they had never seen the great dragon sword soul's imitation superpower. They were horrified. The five elements saint could not believe it. He looked at the heavenly tree that fell from the sky, and his face was filled with shock. Impossible! How can his five elements power possibly be more powerful than mine? I don't believe it. Half of his body was smashed by the heavenly tree. Not only that, the heavenly tree took root in his five elements world, and it quickly absorbed his power, causing his five elements world to shatter. The five clones were destroyed at the same time. Not good. Saint! The people from the five elements palace could not hold it in anymore. Although the five elements saint had said that he wanted to fight one-on-one, the situation was very dangerous now. If they fought one-on-one, their saint would be killed. They could not bear the consequences. Therefore, the people from the five elements palace rushed forward like crazy. Damn brat, go to hell! These people unleashed terrifying attacks towards Lin Xian. At the same time they attacked the heavenly tree. Whoosh! Lin Xian shifted his position and dodged in an instant. However, the heaven-reaching divine wood was able to withstand the attacks that filled the sky and began to emit rumbling sounds. It was covered with countless cracks, but for a moment it did not shatter. That was because if one were to look carefully, one would be able to discover that those cyan streams of light were actually tiny sword auras. At that moment, those sword auras were extremely sharp. Damn it! These people went crazy and attacked again. Finally, the heavenly reaching divine wood was shattered. The sky-reaching divine tree collapsed, shattering the void. The entire ancient tomb seemed to be on the verge of shattering. The Holy Sun! These people exclaimed and rushed forward, wanting to rescue their Holy Sun. Without the suppression of the sky-piercing sacred tree, the five elements saint retreated quickly. But in the next moment he screamed. This was because he discovered that Lin Xian was once again charging towards him. Damn brat, how dare you! The people of the five-element palace were furious. Lin Xian actually dared to kill their holy son. How despicable! Lin Xian sneered. What? You think you can kill me? Can't I kill you? His body emitted a piercing light as he unleashed his four killer moves, shattering the void. The five-element sword formed a five-element formation around him. Chapter 25:18. Sure enough, in an instant, everyone in the hall seemed to be frozen. The people from the nine heavens sacred ground and the myriad thunder sacred ground cried out in horror. Fellow cultivator, help us break the seal. The five elements palace elder waved his staff and broke the seal on these people. These people frantically retreated. The people in the passageway were filled with terror. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon's pupils shrank. They felt that their bodies were imprisoned by the void, and they could not move at all. They could only watch as the terrifying attack came toward them. Look, those two are frozen. The martial artists in the passage were shocked when they saw this. That was for sure. Once the five elements seal was activated, it would seal the heavens and earth. Nothing could escape. Didn't they see that the other two talents from the great sage land were also sealed? If the five elements palace had not unsealed them, they probably would not have been able to escape. What? It's so terrifying. Those people trembled. Indeed, they felt a sealing power revolving around them. Furthermore, this was because they were very far away from the sealing power. One could only imagine what kind of suppression Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon had suffered. Ha 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 ha. When the elders of the five elements palace saw this scene, they all laughed loudly. See, This is the power of the Five Elements Palace's Dharma treasure. The Five Elements Saint also heaved a sigh of relief. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Previously, the other party had caused him to suffer such heavy injuries. He swore that he would cut the other party into pieces. He would not let the other party die so easily. He would torture the other party well. The people from the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground and the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground also surrounded them. They all laughed maliciously. Among them, the people from the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground looked even more ferocious. Fellow cultivator, can you let us deal with this kid? They were too angry, because the other party might have killed their saint. If they did not capture the other party, they would not be able to explain it to their sacred ground. First, cripple their cultivation and break their limbs. They will not be able to escape. The people from the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground said viciously, "Yes, I want to see his body and soul destroyed with my own eyes." The Five Elements Saint's killing intent soared. Murderous auras and malicious voices echoed between the heavens and earth. The people in the passage were shocked when they heard this. Heavens, it's over. These two are probably not going to survive. That was for sure. Although he was strong, he was still no match for the three great sage. What a pity. Such a genius could very well become a great emperor in the future. So what? A genius who couldn't grow up was nothing. Sighs could be heard one after another. These people were all sighing for Lin Xian. However, the people from the three great sage lands were laughing coldly. The elders of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground and Five Elements Palace could no longer hold themselves back and rushed forward. The two of them instantly arrived near Lin Xian and Crimson Shinong, wanting to destroy their cultivation bases. Then they cut off their limbs. Humph! Upon seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Looking at the elder of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Golden runes shone in the sky. Although he couldn't move at the moment, his eye technique wasn't affected. As expected, the elder of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground screamed in pain as his body twisted. He retreated like a madman. A piece of the black necklace on his neck broke into pieces. This was the artifact that protected his soul. Under the effect of soul ignition, it broke into pieces. Ah! The elder of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground screamed in agony. His soul was severely injured, and he screamed in agony. This scene caused everyone to be stupefied. They didn't expect that even though the other party was immobilized, he could still injure an almighty with just a look. Such a move was heaven-defying. Damn it! This kid's soul power is still there. Hurry up and defend. The people of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground roared in anger. They took out all the soul defense artifacts they could use to protect their souls. The people of Five Elements Palace and Nine Heavens Holy Ground did the same. Whoosh! Among them, the elder of Five Elements Palace had already arrived in front of the Crimson Shinong. He revealed a sinister smile. This was because the Crimson Shinong didn't have the same eye technique as Lin Xian. Wah! The Crimson Shinong indeed didn't have any eye technique. He opened his mouth and spat out a ball of dragon flame. This dragon flame contained a trace of dragon blood. It directly enveloped half of the Five Elements Palace elder's body. The elder screamed in pain as half of his body melted. He flew back while screaming in pain. Damn it! What kind of move is this? It's a flame. He actually has such a strange flame. Once he killed this snake, he would definitely take out his inner core. Angry roars could be heard. The people of Five Elements Palace stared at the Crimson Shinong. The people of Nine Heavens Holy Ground stared at Lin Xian. Kill! They charged forward once again. They had immobilized the other party and were injured. This made them feel ashamed. This could be said to be a great humiliation. They had to kill the other party alone. Humph! The Five Elements Saint snorted. This time, he was going to do it himself. Although he was severely injured, the Five Elements Palace had many treasures to help him suppress his injuries. His damaged body had also recovered. However, his face was still pale. He stared at Lin Xian. Brat, I'll pay you back 10,000 times, no 100,000 times for the injuries you suffered. He once again formed a Five Elements world and circled behind Lin Xian before beginning his attack. He was afraid of Lin Xian's eyes. Lin Xian laughed when he saw this. Five Elements Saint, I have to say, you're really a piece of trash. I've been immobilized, but you don't dare to attack me directly? Ha 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 ha. Merciless laughter rang out, and the people of Five Elements Palace cried out. The Five Elements Saint was so angry that he vomited blood. The people around him were terrified. Yes, Lin Xian was already in such a state. Other than his eye technique, there was nothing else he could do. Such a person was no different from a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. However, the Five Elements Saint didn't even dare to attack him directly. He only sneaked behind Lin Xian. It had to be said that it was indeed surprising. It seemed that the Five Elements Saint was completely afraid of Lin Xian. The people of Five Elements Palace roared. So what? Chapter 25:19. The people from the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground and Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground were shocked. The people from the Five Elements Palace were even more shocked. That's not right. The Great Five Elements Seal can seal not only the body, but also one's strength. How did he manage to attack? These people have gone crazy. The Five Elements Saint was even more shocked. He did not expect his opponent to be able to release sword chi. No matter what, his opponent could not escape now. The Five Elements Sword Saint frantically activated his Five Elements force. On the other side, the people from the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground and Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground charged at Lin Fan again. They unleashed their most powerful super skills, wanting to cripple Lin Xian together. As long as they crippled this kid, he would not be able to cause any more trouble. At that time, he would be at their mercy. Kid, let's see how you'll die this time. The elders from the Five Elements Palace sneered. The people from the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground looked even more ferocious. I'll use your blood as a sacrifice to our saint. Kid, you're too arrogant. Do you really think you're invincible? There are plenty of people who can kill you. The people from the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground said coldly. The great sage emitted a dazzling light that enveloped Lin Xian. It's over. That kid is dead. When the crowd saw this scene, they sighed. The dark red divine dragon also roared angrily. He let out a series of dragon roars as his body tried to break free. However, it could not do so for the time being. Lin Xian felt a sense of danger, and his eyes shone with a cold light. What? You want to kill me with just the Great Five Elements seal? You're still far from it. Lin Fan's aura exploded as the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated. Rays of sword chi appeared on his body. A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared on his body and kept circling. The surrounding sword chi became more and more piercing, as if it was going to pierce through the sky. Damn it! Attack! Don't give him a chance to resist. The Five Elements Saint roared. He felt that something was wrong with his opponent. He had experienced his opponent's sword chi many times. The sharpness of his opponent's sword chi made him feel despair. Therefore, he would not give his opponent a chance. Ka ka ka. Roar. However, they had underestimated Lin Xian and the great dragon sword spirit. The power unleashed by the #1 offensive saint art in the world was definitely beyond the imagination of these people. The roar of a dragon and the cry of a sword rang out. Between heaven and earth, the dragon sword shadow slashed in all directions. Countless cracks appeared in the void, with Lin Xian as the center, spreading in all directions. Boom! The space he was in completely collapsed, and black holes appeared one after another. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a long howl. His figure flashed, and he instantly escaped from the black hole. What? He had escaped. How could this be? Damn it, hurry up and kill him. Angry shouts rang out one after another. The people of the three great sage lands were all stunned. The warriors in the surrounding passageways were even more shocked. Roar! The dark red divine dragon also let out a dragon roar. Its huge body shook the void as it escaped from inside. Damn it, you actually dared to trap me. I'll cook you all and eat you later. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon's body expanded, turning into a true peerless demon king. The dragon blood in his body surged. With a swing of his dragon tail, it directly shattered the void. It was like 100,000 mountains pressing down. The people of the three great sage lands vomited blood. Kill! Lin Xian also let out a roar. The great dragon sword spirit continued to rise, and the ancient dragon abyss sword was swung out. Spurt! An elder of the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground was sent flying. How could he escape? Lin Xian stretched out his hand, and the sun, moon, and stars revolved around him, sealing the entire space. In the next moment, He grabbed the Five Elements Saint's head and brought it to his side. Then, he activated soul ignition and completely burned his soul into ashes. Whoosh! Lin Xian held the Five Elements Saint's head with one hand and the ancient sword in the other, sweeping it in all directions. Who else? If you want to die, come here. Stunned. Everyone was stunned. The people from the Great Sage Land were stunned in the air, and the people in the passageway were all trembling. Fear, infinite fear spread throughout their bodies. That was the Five Elements Saint, the top genius of the younger generation. The future master of the Five Elements Sacred Ground had been killed here. Was this kid still human? Demon King, he was definitely a Demon King. In the future, they must not provoke him. Those people swallowed their saliva. The people from the Great Sage Land regained their senses, and they roared crazily. Chapter 25:20. Dead. Their holy son had been killed in front of everyone. His head was even in the other party's hand. This made them want to die. How were they going to explain it to the sacred ground when they returned? Kill him. You must kill him. The people of the Five Elements Palace roared crazily. At this moment, they had lost their minds. Everyone's eyes were red, and their bodies were surrounded by a murderous aura, as if they had turned into demons. The people of the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground were also roaring. They didn't expect that apart from their holy son, even the Five Elements' holy son had been killed. This was definitely an earth-shattering earthquake. Although the people of the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground were frightened, they were relieved. Fortunately, their holy son had been randomly teleported away by the black quicksand. Otherwise, he would have been dead by now. Therefore, at this moment, the elders of the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground were secretly delighted. But soon, these people of the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground were stunned and even frightened. Their faces were as black as the bottom of a pot. That was because in a passage next to them, a figure streaked across the void like a bolt of thunder and quickly arrived at the main hall. The 10,000 Thunder Holy Sun. This figure was the 10,000 Thunder Holy Sun. Previously, he had been randomly teleported away by the black quicksand, but he had finally returned. As soon as he appeared, the 10,000 Thunder Holy Sun released a sea of lightning that filled the entire sky. He roared coldly, "Damn brat, come and die!" He was really mad. Before he could make a move, he had been teleported away. Moreover, the teleportation distance was very far. He had spent a lot of effort to rush back here. Therefore, he swore that he would join hands with the Five Elements Holy Sun. He would torture him to death. But soon he was stunned, because he realized that no one responded. The entire main hall was silent. Everyone looked at him with a strange expression. The elders of the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground were even more furious. The people in the passage also swallowed their saliva. The 10,000 Thunder Holy Sun had come at this time. Wasn't he walking into a trap and dying in vain? Sure enough, the elders of the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground roared crazily. "Holy Sun, leave! Leave this place quickly!" They were about to go crazy. Previously, they had been secretly delighted that their holy son was not here and could avoid a calamity. However, they did not expect that just as they finished speaking, their saint would charge over from afar. They had to quickly remind the chosen to leave. Otherwise, who knew what crazy things this kid would do? Leave quickly? What did he mean? The 10,000 Thunder Saint's son was stunned. He frowned. Why did these elders want him to escape? What did she mean by that? She didn't look up to him? He snorted coldly and turned to look at Lin Xian. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he thought, "Damn brat, I will definitely." Before he could finish, he was stunned. He realized that Lin Xian was holding a head in his left hand. That head belonged to the Five Elements Saint. Damn it, what happened? The 10,000 Thunder Saint shuddered, and his heart almost jumped out of his chest. The Five Elements Saint's head was held in the other party's hand, and there was no sign of life. What was going on? Could it be that the Five Elements Saint was killed? Holy Sun, leave now. Seeing the 10,000 Thunder Sage in a daze, the 10,000 Thunder Sage's elders roared again. At the same time, they rushed up crazily to protect the 10,000 Thunder Sage. The Five Elements Saint had been killed by this kid. Holy Sun, leave now. The elders roared again. What? He was really killed. The 10,000 Thunder Sage's pupils shrank, and his mind went blank. Chapter 25-21. Damn it! How could his sword chi be so powerful? The 10,000 Thunder Saint's expression changed in an instant. He did not dare to fight back. After all, his opponent had killed the 5 Elements Saint. He was afraid that his opponent's strength had surpassed his. Boom! The 10,000 Thunder Saint roared, and the lightning in the sky intertwined, forming a sea of lightning. He turned around and left. However, he was still one step too late. Lin Xian waved his hand, and 108,000 golden swords quickly intertwined and cut off the 10,000 Thunder Saints' escape route. At the same time, the sky-reaching divine wood descended from the sky, trying to suppress him. Boom! The divine wood was like a giant pillar that reached the sky. It crushed the void, tore apart the sea of lightning, and blasted the 10,000 Thunder Saints' body. Puffed! The 10,000 Thunder Saint vomited blood and flew backward. All the bones in his body were broken. He flew out for a long time before he stopped. Then with a roar, lightning crackled all over his body, and all the broken bones were reborn again. Damn kid, don't go too far. The 10,000 Thunder Saint roared crazily. He was a saint after all. How dare his opponent treat him like this? That drove him crazy. What? You want the treatment of a saint? You want me to be respectful to you? Fine. Lin Xian sneered. Then I'll invite you to die. He turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed out. The biting cold sword light shrouded the void as he slashed forward. Thunder God Bracelet. The 10,000 Thunder Saint was also angry. He opened his mouth and spat out a Thunder God Bracelet. It was covered with terrifying runes. It was one of his trump cards, called the Thunder God Bracelet. As soon as the Thunder God Bracelet appeared in the air, it whistled and crashed forward. Boom! In an instant, it shattered the sword light that filled the sky and erupted with an incomparably powerful power of thunder. The Thunder God Bracelet was a trump card. It was said that it was indestructible and could destroy everything. That brat surnamed Lin also walked the path of a firm and fierce cultivation method. Between the two of them, who would be the stronger one? The martial artists in the passage were discussing animatedly. They were somewhat expectant. The 10,000 Thunder Saints' confidence increased greatly after his successful attack. From the looks of it, the other party was only SOSO. Could it be that the other party had used the saint's hand bone to kill the 5 Elements Saint? Although he hadn't seen it, he didn't believe that the other party could kill a holy sun by relying on his own strength. In the next moment, he activated the Lightning God's bracelet again and charged forward. Instantly, the surrounding sword chi was all sent flying. Ha 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 ha, you're just SOSO. Today, I will avenge the 5 Elements Saint. The 10,000 Lightning Saint Sun let out a long roar. Instead of running away, he attacked. The Holy Sun. These elders were worried about the 10,000 Thunder Saint Sun. They wanted to remind him to leave. However, Wan Leixing still rushed over and fought with Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled into a strange smile. Great 5 Elements Seal. A cold voice came out of his mouth. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. What? Great Seal of 5 Elements? What was this kid talking about? He also knows the 5 Elements Great Seal. Heavens, what kind of joke was this? The Great Seal of 5 Elements was the supreme secret technique of the 5 Elements Palace. Other than the 5 Elements Saint and a few of the elders, no one else could learn it. This kid is obviously not from the 5 Elements Palace. How could he know the Great Seal of 5 Elements? That's right. I think he's just trying to scare the 10,000 Lightning Saint Sun. The Great Dragon Sword Spirit was unparalleled. The 10,000 Thunder Saint was killed. Heavens! Everyone went crazy. This was the third saint to die. Although the ancient tomb was dangerous before, no one at the level of a saint had died. But who would have thought that 3 holy suns would fall in succession? Moreover, they were not killed by the powerful array formation in the ancient tomb, but by a young master who killed them in a domineering manner. It's over. Earthquake. It was definitely a big earthquake. The 3 great sage would probably go crazy and hunt them down at all costs. Sure enough, the 10,000 Thunder Saints screamed crazily. They began to burn their spiritual power. and their murderous aura was monstrous. At this moment, they could kill gods and Buddhas. Not only the 10,000 Thunder Saint, but also the 5 Elements Palace and the 9 Heavens Holy Land. At this moment, they also attacked at all costs. They sealed off all directions. They swore to kill the other party. Lin Xian waved his hand, and Ruffian Dragon quickly came in. He raised his hand and summoned the Black Earth, and the two of them entered. At the same time, Lin Xian completely tore open the seal on the saint's hand bone. Suddenly, a terrifying force surged out and flooded the entire space. Ah! Oh no, run! The people in the passage were so scared that their scalps went numb. They turned around and fled. In an instant, they were enveloped by the pressure of the saint. They turned into a large cloud of blood mist. Only some experts were able to escape. However, their bodies were also shattered. Only one of their heads remained intact and reassembled in the distance. Their faces were filled with horror. Run! These people did not dare to stay any longer, and they did not want to know how the battle was going. The pressure of the saint was too terrifying. Damn it, is that kid crazy? How can he resist this power? Does he want to die together with the saint? These people were terrified as they fled. In the main hall, the people of the 3 great sage screamed again and again. They did not expect that the other party would really dare to activate the saint's pressure. Previously, although they were terrified by the saint's hand bone, their lives were not threatened, because they knew that the other party did not dare to go all out. Otherwise, the other party would not have been able to survive. But now the other party had gone all out. Why? They could not understand. In an instant, many elders and geniuses were pierced by the saint's pressure. Their bodies split open in the sky and turned into blood mist. It was sad and beautiful, but it made people despair. Quickly recall our land tokens. The elders of the 3 great sage roared crazily. An immortal palace floated over, and the door opened, storing the remaining people inside. A purple thunder pool descended, and terrifying thunder and lightning enveloped the remaining elders of the myriad Thunder Holy Land. However, after thinking about it carefully, it wasn't impossible. Although the 5-element saint was powerful, he was only average among all the saints. If there was a powerful saint with enough trump cards, it wasn't impossible to kill the 5-element saint. However, no one was willing to kill a saint and offend a holy land. Therefore, at first, they suspected that it might be some itinerant cultivator or a lunatic like the twin kings of Middle Ground. However, when they heard that the Jiuxiao Seiko and the myriad Thunder Saint had also been killed, they couldn't accept it. They couldn't accept it. What a joke! The death of a saint might be an accident. However, 3 saints had died at the same time. What was going on? Could it be that they had encountered a peerless killing array in the ancient tomb? Their hearts beat wildly. After all, this was the ancient tomb of a saint. There were some things left behind that they couldn't resist at all. For example, if the 99 heads of invincible kings were released, not to mention 3 saints, even 30 saints wouldn't be able to resist it. These 3 people from the great sage were too unlucky. Could it be that they had encountered a peerless killing array at the same time? The others were discussing. The saint from the 9 Heavens Holy Land also had a gloomy expression. What a coincidence. Well, ITLL helped me cover it up. However, that kid got lucky. He looked at Lin Xian. The saints and saintesses of the other holy lands had their eyes flickering. The 3 great sage experts hurriedly asked, "Damn it, what did you say? How could our saints have been killed? What's going on? What's going on? Tell us. Who killed our holy son?" Could it be that it was really a peerless killing array in the ancient tomb? It wasn't a peerless killing array. The 3 great sage elders went crazy. They looked around. Then they stared in one direction. These surviving elders roared and pointed forward. "It's him. It's that kid. He was the one who killed our holy son." What? It wasn't a killing array? It was killed by someone. Who was it? Was it really the twin kings of Zhongzhou? These people went crazy. They followed the finger of the 3 great sage elders and looked into the distance. Along the way, those martial artists instantly dodged in the direction pointed by the finger. Even the older generation and saints also dodged. Their scalps went numb. What kind of joke was this? They didn't kill any saints. and they didn't want to be the scapegoat. Therefore, in an instant, everyone fled faster than rabbits. However, there was a group of people who didn't dodge, and that was the people of Immortal Palace. Everyone looked in that direction. When they saw Lin Xian and the Immortal Palace experts, their scalps went numb. It wasn't the twin kings of Zhongzhou, but the people of Immortal Palace. Could it be that the Immortal Palace experts killed the 3 great sage sons? But that shouldn't be the case. Chapter 25-28. Hearing this, Morong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. Shen Jingqiu also said, Granny Qian, you said it. You have to help later. On the other side, Yi Wudao No Flower, and the others also had flickering eyes. Although they also wanted to help, the current situation was too complicated. They did not dare to act rashly. However, they also decided that at the critical moment, they would definitely help. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He was prepared to take out the Black Earth and fire a few shots at them. He would kill a few peerless almighties first. However, before he made a move, Elderly roared from the side. Competing in numbers? You are too inexperienced. Buzz! Elderly waved his sleeve, scattering out tens of thousands of rays of light. The surrounding people were surprised because they could see that the tens of thousands of rays of light were actually hundreds and thousands of beans. Each of them was like a golden bean, floating in the sky. What kind of divine ability was that? Or was it a magical treasure? The surrounding people were shocked. They did not know what the other party was doing. The people from the Great Sage Land sneered in disdain. Just a mere bean and they wanted to make them retreat? What a joke! They had to kill the other party, until not a single one was left alive. However, soon they were stunned. In fact, their faces became extremely ugly. The crowd uttered cries of astonishment. Heavens! What kind of divine ability was that? Everyone was stupefied because the golden bean was trembling in the sky. Then, they suddenly became bigger, and turned into figures. Heaven and earth trembled rapidly, and the void cracked, unable to withstand the energy. 1, 2, 3, hundreds and thousands of figures appeared in the sky. When these people appeared, they roared in the void, and the energy sound waves shook the blood of the people, causing the surrounding martial artists to retreat. The eyes of the Holy Land elders were like divine rainbows as they stared ahead. They sucked in a breath of cold air, because the figures that appeared in front of them were too strange. They had the upper body of a human, but their lower body was the tail of a snake. They held long sabers, spears, and pikes in their hands. Terrifying killing intent swept in all directions. What was that? Puppet mechanism? The cultivators of Zhou dynasty were discussing this matter. The people from the Great Sage were also shocked. One of the young men laughed coldly. You're just a mere puppet, and you want to fight us? He was really courting death. He rushed forward wanting to kill those puppets. He was a genius of the 9 firmaments sacred emperor. No matter how strong the puppet was, how could it be compared to them? Kill! With a furious roar, light filled the sky and turned into a silver arc that slashed forward. The void was sliced in half in an instant. From this, one could imagine how terrifying that attack was. Clang! Among them, a figure with a human body and a snake tail stabbed out with a spear. Bang! It collided with the silver light and made a clanging sound. The heavens fell, and the earth cracked as thunder rumbled. The silver light was shattered, and the bronze spear pierced through the void, smashing into the body of the genius from the 9 heavens holy ground. What? Everyone was stunned by this scene, especially the people of 9 firmaments Saint Emperor. They screamed like crazy. The faces of the others turned ugly. What kind of puppet was this? That was too terrifying. The one who attacked was a young genius. Although he was not as strong as a saint, he was still a powerful figure. However, he was unable to resist the opponent's spear. The level of these puppets was too terrifying. If there was such a puppet army, no one would be able to resist it. However, they had never heard of anyone who had such a terrifying puppet technique. No! Damn it! Impossible! The people of 9 firmaments sacred emperor roared. At this moment, an elder of the Yi family narrowed his eyes. This was not a puppet technique. This was magic bean soldiers. What? Magic bean soldiers? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. A few elders who were like living fossils trembled in fear. Was casting beans to create soldiers the divine ability of the legends? It was rumored to be an immortal technique. How could these people know it? Immortal technique. Everyone trembled. Anything related to immortals was definitely the most mysterious and powerful. How could these people from the immortal palace have such a strange ability? Could it be that they were related to immortals? They did not know. Their faces were pale. Now they finally understood why the immortal palace dared to fight against the three great sage. With this magic bean soldiers, they could instantly gather thousands of experts. They could definitely fight against the three great sage. Damn it! The three great sage roared in anger. They were also stunned by the other party's move. For a moment they did not attack. Instead, they stood there in bewilderment. The people of the immortal palace heaved a sigh of relief. They cheered and sneered. Lin Xian was also stunned. He did not know that the immortal palace had such an ability. It seemed that the immortal palace was even more mysterious and powerful than he had imagined. He knew that although he was the palace master now, the immortal palace he had come into contact with was probably only the surface. The true core was probably still in the hands of the old palace master. As for the true strength and foundation of the immortal palace, he did not know how far it had reached. Perhaps other than Xia Jiuyo no one else knew. So are we still going to fight? The corners of his mouth curled up as he asked indifferently. The dark red divine dragon sneered again and again. The three great sage. Are you that awesome? Come and attack together. Let's hurt each other. With this great ability and so many powerful puppets, they definitely did not fear the three great sage. Therefore, the immortal palace's side was full of confidence. In particular, the dark red divine dragon pointed at these people and cursed. Others were embarrassed to curse, but he could not care less. Come, the three great sages' grandsons, fight 300 rounds with this emperor. This emperor will definitely turn each and every one of you into golden roasted meat. That damned snake. You're courting death. Kill him. You must kill them. So what if they have great abilities? They're just high-level puppets. Do they really think they have immortal methods? That's right. How can puppets be compared to us? They were really provoked and went crazy. They attacked again. In an instant the two sides fought. Boom, boom, boom. The three great sages' people rushed up. When Elderly saw this, he snorted coldly and formed a seal with his palm. Boom. The great sage was also stunned. What exactly was that? Damn it, it wasn't Immortal Palace's people. In the space between them and Immortal Palace, 7 streaks of light appeared. To be more precise, they were 7 coffins. 7 bronze coffins appeared on the ground. They emitted a heavy aura. The 7 streaks of killing intent that connected heaven and earth were released by these 7 bronze coffins. As soon as they appeared, it was as if 7 demonic mountains were pressing down on everyone's hearts. It was so heavy that they couldn't breathe at all. Each of the 7 bronze coffins was incomparably huge, as if they had existed for countless years. Looking from the sky, they formed the shape of the Big Dipper. In fact, there were stars engraved on the 7 bronze coffins. The Big Dipper coffin. Everyone swallowed their saliva crazily. They were facing the bronze coffins that suddenly appeared, as if they were facing a great enemy. Whose coffin was that? Who was buried inside? Why would it appear at this time? Could it be that they had encountered some kind of restriction when they were fighting earlier? Would it be dangerous for them after it appeared? They had no idea. Boom! Boom! Crack! While they were still in shock, one of the bronze coffins suddenly began to tremble. Damn it! What happened? Could it be that it was going to turn into a corpse? Everyone was terrified. No, they had to stop it. They were too terrified because the corpses and heads they had discovered so far were at least at the level of an invincible king. Moreover, the Een soldiers from before had also left a huge shadow on them. Therefore, they did not allow the bronze coffin to revive. They did not allow the things inside to come out. In an instant, countless people unleashed formation after formation to seal the coffin. They flew down, wanting to completely seal the coffin. Boom! The people from the 5 Elements Palace were the closest, and they were the first to set up the 5 Elements seal. Buzz! 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 5 mysterious runes floated down and enveloped the bronze coffin. Whoosh! Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Bang! Damn it! Not good! They cried out in alarm again, because they discovered something. The 5 elements seal. It was actually shattered in an instant. On the bronze coffin, a flickering star. It directly broke through the 5 elements seal, and the bronze coffin trembled even more violently. Ice world! A delicate shout sounded, and countless ice spread out. Immediately, the trembling bronze coffin was sealed in ice. Not only it, but the surrounding space was covered in snow, turning into a world of ice and snow. An elder from the Moon Palace made a move. However, everyone did not relax, and continued to watch intently. Sure enough, in the next moment, the world of ice and snow that filled the sky quickly melted, turning into countless puddles of water that sank into the ground and disappeared. How could the corpse be resurrected after tens of thousands of years? That was too abnormal. They didn't know the reason, but it was similar to the Een soldiers. It wasn't a real resurrection. The one that came out of the bronze coffin was already so powerful. If the other 6 bronze coffins came out, wouldn't they be able to defeat everyone? No, they had to kill it quickly. And stop it. Why don't we run away? All kinds of discussions sounded. Many people's eyes flickered as they stared at the bronze coffin. They didn't know what was inside the bronze coffin. They felt that it was necessary to check it out. Behind them, the people of the Demon Emperor Palace were overjoyed. That was great. Finally, someone from the monster race appeared. Like I said, this is the ancient tomb of the monster race's saint. Those despicable humans didn't believe me. Now they know how powerful we are. What should we do now? Should we go up and meet up with the powerful corpse, and kill these humans together? An expert voiced his opinion. However, Yin Ryu shook his head. Do you want to be the target of public criticism? Do you think you can exterminate all humans? If one of them goes out, all the holy lands and major sects in the world will attack the Demon Emperor Palace. Do you think the Demon Emperor Palace can survive? If the Saint Physique dies here, I'm afraid the Yi family outside will bring extreme weapons to attack. Hearing about extreme weapons, the experts of the Demon Emperor Palace trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. What should we do? Others asked. Watayanda's eyes flickered. If we can stay here and watch. Let them kill each other. These people of the Demon Emperor Palace didn't move forward. Instead, they retreated to a corner. At this moment, no one paid attention to them. After all the Holy Land warriors were staring at the purple figure in front of them, as if they were facing a great enemy. At the front, those people were also discussing. Let's fight. We have to deal with this demonic beast. Otherwise, we won't be able to move forward. 5 Elements Palace, 9 Heavens Holy Land, and the 1,000 Thunder Saints people had gloomy expressions. They wanted to take revenge, but they didn't expect such a situation to occur. They gritted their teeth and stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted. Why? You want to fight? I don't mind playing with you. As he spoke, the top-grade puppets around him flickered with mysterious runes, and formed a powerful force that intimidated everyone. Damn it! Brat, just you wait. I won't let you off. The people of the Great Sage Holy Land gritted their teeth, and didn't continue to attack. Compared to Lin Xian, the purple demonic beast in front of them was a greater threat. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. Elderly waved his hand, and kept the top-grade puppets. These were trump cards and couldn't be used for too long. He would only use them in times of danger. Seeing this scene, the 4 Symbols Holy Land, Yin Yang Sect, Tuoba family, and others had gloomy expressions. It was too powerful. In the sky, the power caused the surrounding warriors to tremble. They retreated crazily. They quickly left. Exclamations sounded one after another. These sacred land elders and experts had made a decision. They let the saints leave with the young disciples. These elders and experts would stay here to fight. Go! Yi Wudao shouted coldly and quickly left. Chapter 25-34. Yi Wudao led the young disciples of the Yi family into the sky, and flew into the distance. Wavering Light Sacred Land, Dao Yi Sacred Land, Moon Palace, and Taishian Sacred Land. The great sage lands and sects were all like this. Lin Xian was the same. Only Xing Tian remained by Lin Xian's side. The three elders remained behind. Brother Xian, Brother Lin Xian, Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu also brought people over. They turned into a torrent and quickly rushed into the distance. Boom! As soon as they left, a world-shaking energy came from behind. The young cultivators who were leaving turned back. They saw a sky full of light that tore through heaven and earth. Even though they were so far away, they still felt a wave of fear and trembling. It was too terrifying. These elders had all used their trump cards. It was incomparably terrifying. Ignorant humans, since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. An even colder voice sounded. A black shadow covered heaven and earth, devouring all the light. Immediately after, angry roars sounded. The black shadow continued to devour everything in front of it, and it seemed to be spreading in all directions. Seeing this scene, the young cultivators felt their scalps go numb. They fled as if they had gone mad. Hurry up and leave. Lin Xian also led the cultivators of Immortal Palace, Morong Qingqing and Xiu'er. They turned into streams of light and disappeared into the sky. They flew and flew for about half a day. Finally, a light screen appeared in front of them. It was incomparably hazy. The young cultivators who were fleeing all stopped. They looked at the light screen in front of them and frowned. They couldn't pass through it. They were blocked. Damn it! Angry roars rang out one after another. The young cultivators even used their trump cards and charged forward. However, they still couldn't open it. The light screen in front of them flickered with flowing light. There was clearly the power of Tao patterns on it. Perhaps even an invincible king couldn't open it. Damn it, there was no way. What should they do? Did they have to go back? Or wait here for the battle to end? Everyone was discussing. Many of them looked at Yi Wudao, Wavering Light Saint, and the others. They wanted to see what these top geniuses could do. Brother Lin, what do you think? Leaf Dao Dinier didn't respond. Instead, he looked over at Lin Xian. A golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes and surrounded him. Although the hall was huge, it was enveloped by a light screen. There were Dao runes flickering on the light screen. Obviously, there was nowhere to run. He raised his head and looked at the sky. There was a ceiling high up in the sky. The ceiling was decorated with the sun, moon, and stars. It was like the universe. From the looks of it, it was an extremely terrifying formation. Thinking about it, it would be difficult to break it. The ground was also filled with veined patterns. However, Lin Xian frowned. This time, through his heavenly secret divine eyes, he discovered that there seemed to be a tunnel underground. Attack downwards. Lin Xian pointed down and said in a deep voice, "Attack downwards." Everyone was stunned. What kind of joke was this? There were also formation runes below. That's right. Even if they could break through the ground, so what? Since there's no path below, why don't I just attack from above? Many people shook their heads, not believing that Lin Xian was right. However, no flower. Leaf Dao Dinier nodded. Fine, we'll attack downwards. We'll help too. Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingqing also stepped forward. At the same time, they called for the martial artists of their respective sects to attack together. Damn it! How could Leaf Dao Dinier and the others trust that kid? The people of Tai Dynasty, Five Elements Palace, Yin Yang Sect, and Tuoba family gnashed their teeth. They didn't have a good relationship with Lin Xian, so naturally, they didn't want to listen to Lin Xian. After walking for about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, they found that the surrounding walls were all carved with demonic beasts. Each of them had a green face and fangs, and they were strangely shaped and emitted a demonic aura. Damn it, what is this place? Could it be a demonic beast's nest? Why are there so many demonic beast carvings? Many people frowned. The people from the Demon Imperial Palace were excited. These carvings were all demonic beasts of heaven and earth. Ha 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 ha. As expected, this is our demon saint's tomb. Damn it, could it really be the demon saint's tomb? But what was going on with the situation up there? They were very puzzled. In front of them, another empty cave appeared. There were a total of 12 demonic pillars around it, supporting the entire cave. There were also strange beasts carved on them, as if they would come to life at any time. Let's take a break. The attack just now left me with little strength. Many people complained, and they all stopped here. This place was very spacious, enough for everyone to rest. Therefore, the great sage lands all rested here. Those from the Demon Imperial Palace were the most excited. They circled the 12 pillars and looked carefully. The dark red divine dragon also looked around, as if looking for treasures. The powerhouses of the other holy lands, saints, and saintesses all heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally left the terrifying Big Dipper coffin. Now they could no longer feel the terrifying pressure brought by the Big Dipper coffin. Damn it! I really don't want to stay here any longer. There's no exit. I want to leave. Some people couldn't take it anymore. After all, they had never experienced such a dangerous thing. Especially the heads of the 99 invincible kings, and the Big Dipper coffin. The shock they received was too deep. They were afraid that if they stayed any longer, they would die here. Of course, there were also some who didn't care. Although this place was dangerous, there were many treasures, and many of them had broken through. Under normal circumstances, they would probably need to cultivate for hundreds of years before they could break through. However, in just 1 or 2 months they directly broke through. How could they let go of such an opportunity? No matter how dangerous it was, they had to try. Cultivation was a path that defied the heavens. In front, a few powerhouses of the Gu family stood up. A middle-aged man formed a seal with his palm. 9 ancient runes appeared on his fingertips and imprinted in the void. Pooh! The void was torn open, and a black hole was created that led to the void. What are the people of the Gu family trying to do? The surrounding people also turned their heads in puzzlement. Lin Xian and the others also narrowed their eyes. Soon they were shocked. That was because they discovered that a light image suddenly appeared in the void of the black hole. Why is the image so blurry? Light filling the sky.